Okay, now I am recording. Next. Something has happened. Highlighted text. Now, next. Payment made to supplier. Okay. Now, next come to money measurement, because there are other things which you can read on your own, which are very easy to understand. Now, next we come to money measurement concept. Accounting data. Now, any idea how to remove this box? No. Next. Just a minute. Just a minute. Hello? Okay, bye. For a minute, I am pausing. Till that time, you can look at the notes. You're able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next is money measurement concept. The accounting data must be quantified so that data can be aggregated and hence summarized. Hence, transactions, events should be measured in terms of money. Transactions are recorded in the books of accounts in the ruling currency of the country when the books of accounts are prepared. Now, very simple thing what you need to understand is that transactions which can be represented in the form of money are recorded in the books of accounts, and which cannot be represented will not be recorded in the books of account. Okay, and which currency we need to apply? We need to apply the ruling country currency, because you may be knowing that like there are many US firms. If you are aware, Microsoft company's accounts are maintained by Accenture India. Okay, even though the accounts are maintained in Accenture India, but we need to record it in the ruling country currency of the business. For example, in case of Microsoft, we are accounting in terms of dollars. Now, next is common unit. A common measuring unit in terms of money helps to quantify the data, enables determination of profit or loss. That is common. You can understand very easily. These are all not required. Criticism and all, not required. Now, that point is very important. Impact on accounting. As per money measurement concept, only those transactions which are capable of being measured in terms of money are recorded in the books of accounts. That too in the ruling country currency of the country. Example, rupees in India, dollars in USA, and pounds in UK. Now, transactions which are not monetary, even if they affect the business results of the business materially, are not recorded in the books of accounts. Okay, and remember, these are the note. This note is very important. Entity and money measurement concepts are the basic concepts on which other procedural concepts are dependent. मतलब अगर ये दो नहीं होंगे तो आगे आने वाले सभी जो concepts है उनका meaning फीका पड़ जाएगा. Then periodicity or accounting period concept, and you all know that the accounting को हम going concern concept हम already सीख चुके हैं. The concept which says that an entity is going to run for an indefinite period, but when you break that indefinite period into small periods, right? and you prepare your accounts for those periods, then it is called as accounting period. ओके सो एक बड़ा सा लंबा टाइम को छोटे छोटे यूनिट्स में आप ब्रेक कर रहे हो. जनरली इट इज ब्रेक, उसका जो ब्रेक होता, सॉरी उसका जो पीस होता है वो उसको हम यूनिट कहते हैं. तो एक स्मॉल यूनिट ऑफ टाइम्स बना देते हैं जिसके लिए अकाउंट्स प्रिपेयर किया जाता है, राइट. सो व्हाई इट इज डन? बिकॉज it is not necessary that when assume that Tata are running business since hundreds of years, right? मतलब 150 160 years का business है उनका. So it is not necessary that they prepare their accounts only when the business comes to an end, because if that happens, they will never come to know whether the business is running in profit or loss, and what are the steps to be taken to increase the profit or to mitigate the loss. So they will not be knowing. So in order to know that, you need to prepare the accounts and you need to ascertain your profit or losses periodically. Okay, so this concept of periodically become that accounting period concept. Okay, so generally the accounting period consists of 12 months, but now there are many companies which are preparing the accounts for 3 months also. We call them as quarterly statements. Okay, then next is just a minute. Next is especially the accounts, months are of two types, so years are of two types. One is financial year and the other one is calendar year. Financial year is from 1st April to 31st March, and calendar year is from Jan 1st to 31st December. You can go for any year. It may be either calendar year or financial year, but in India we follow financial year, but there are many countries in the world which follow calendar year as their financial year. Now, next we study accrual concept, right? Hope you are aware of accrual concept. I think we have already studied accrual concept. But before that, let us look at periodicity concepts, few features. It helps comparison of financial statements of different periods. For example, if you are preparing yearly financial statements, you come to know that whether you have performed in the previous period better or this period better. And if there are some good opportunities, if there are some good things to be learned, that needs to be continued. If we learn that there are some bad things, better we omit it. So this helps comparison. Then next is uniform and consistent accounting treatment for ascertaining the profit and loss of the assets. That means you will be following the same, that consistency concept plays a role here. Then next is matching periodic revenues. Again, it is linked to matching concept. It says that if you periodically match the revenues and expenses, it gives you the profit or loss. The next is based on periodicity concept, expenses are classified into capital, revenue and deferred revenue. मैं आपको simple में बता देता हूँ. Capital वो है जिसका जो benefit है more than a year last करता है, right? And revenue वो जो capital होता है वो non recurring है because उसका benefit long time के लिए होता है. Then revenue जिसका benefit एक साल से कम time के लिए है and it is recurring in nature. Okay. Then deferred revenue मतलब एक ऐसा expenditure जिसका nature revenue है पर उसका benefit capital nature में है. Then it is called as deferred revenue. Next, accrual concept. And we have already learned about accrual, so I believe it is better we don't spend time on that because we have already learned about it. It says that the expenses and incomes are to be recorded on the basis of their accrual, not on the basis of the payment or receipt. Okay, next comes, that is matching, right? So matching concept involves, see, there are various activities which are performed by business by which it earns revenue and it makes payment for that to earn that revenue. So ultimately what we need to do is we need to match the revenues with the expenses. The matching concept explains about the same. It says that when you have fixed your accounting period, For that accounting period, you need to consider all the revenues and all the expenses, and you need to match them. If the expenses are more, it results in profit, and if the if the expenses are more, it results in loss, and if the revenue is more, then it results in profit. Okay, next. Accrual matching. Now, impact of matching concept. I think you can see a chart which is given there, right? It says that, okay, इसको छोड़ के हम सीधा notes पर आ जाएंगे, because notes has detailed explanation of that. Now, direct costs, expenses directly related to output, sales of an enterprise, example material consumed. मैं आपको सिंपल में बता देता हूं ये सारे क्या होते हैं. पहले होता है डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट. If any cost is incurred directly on the product, then it becomes direct cost. For example, I can tell you, ये जो मेरा मोबाइल है, right? You know that in order to purchase the mobile, I need a screen, I need a display, right? I need battery. So whatever amount I'm expending directly on purchase of the raw material, that is purchase of battery, purchase of display screen, purchase of camera, these all considered as direct expenses. So that is called as direct cost. Mainly it consists of material, labor, and direct expenses. The next is fixed period costs, right? So what are fixed period costs? The expenses incurred over the period and not directly related to the products or service. For example, assume that salary paid to office staff, rent, these are not directly spent on production, because salary is paid to the office worker, right? Rent of the office is paid to the landlord, right? But these are, even if we don't pay this, the production will go on. So those all expenses which are directly incurred on production are called as fixed period cost. Okay. Oh, sorry. Just a minute. I will correct it. Those all expenses which are not incurred on the production is called as fixed period cost. Okay, directly which are not incurred. Example, I said salary, rent, etc. They are part of it. Next is deferred revenue expenditure. I said, I don't know whether you remember it or not. Even it is even this question was part of non-profit organization. There are few expenses which are revenue in nature, but the benefit of that those expenses is capital in nature. They are referred as deferred revenue expenses. Example, advertisement expenditure is generally considered as revenue expenditure. But when that revenue for example, if you are carrying out an advertisement campaign, the benefit of which will be received for next 6 to 8 years, then the expenditure is called as deferred revenue, because expenditure is made in the present year, but the benefit is available for next 8 years. Okay. Next is fixed asset. These are the expenses which are made on assets which are used in the production process. Next is dual aspect. Now, what is dual aspect concept? As per this concept, every transaction or event has two aspects which have to be recorded in the books. The amounts of both the aspects are equal. ये तो बहुत आसान कॉन्सेप्ट था जो हमने सीखा था कि हर ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए दो एस्पेक्ट होते हैं और दोनों के दोनों हमको रिकॉर्ड करने पड़ते हैं. That's why it is called as dual aspect concept, right? Then next is the possible combination of the effects of each transaction was as under. That is, the first is significance, that is merits. Now, पहले देखिए, इसमें क्या होता है हिस्टोरिकल. वेट, ये बहुत अलग हो गया. ये इतना ही दिया गया है कि इसमें 19 Next. If you remember, we have discussed these statements. Increase in an asset will lead to decrease in another asset, right? Whereas increase in an asset will lead to increase in liability. मतलब there were many cases which we discussed. कैसे मैं आपको एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल भी इधर बहुत अच्छा दिया गया है, आप देख सकते हैं. That is purchase of machinery for rupees 40,000 by paying cash. By this machinery will increase and cash will decrease. Remember, machinery will increase and cash will decrease. By that, what happens? Increase in an asset called machine led to decrease in an asset called as cash. Whereas, if the same machinery is purchased on credit, then machinery will increase in the business, but whereas cash has not gone out because we have purchased it on credit. That means we need to pay to the vendor that much amount. So that's why it is called as increase in an asset may lead to increase in liability. Next is decrease in an asset leads to decrease in a liability or decrease in a liability. Example मैं आपको बता देता हूँ. For example, assume that Sudarshan has to pay me 10,000 rupees, and out of that he paid me 5,000 rupees. So 5,000 of rupees cash increased in my business. That leads to increase in an asset. But Sudarshan was earlier paying me 10,000, but now he will pay only 5,000. So that lead to decrease in liability. So decrease in an asset lead to decrease in a liability. Then last is increase in one liability may decrease another liability. For example, assume that I have to pay 10,000 rupees to Vinayak. Okay. And I borrow 10,000 rupees from Shreyas and pay it to Vinayak. At that time, what happens? A liability called Vinayak has decreased, but a liability called Shreyas has increased. What does that mean? It means that you can increase a liability by which you can decrease a liability. That means increase in one liability may lead to decrease in another liability. Okay, so now next is, okay, anyone like to ask any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Unmuted you. If
No,
you like to ask any doubt, you can ask.
No, sir.
No, sir.
I'm seeing today there are few students who are missing. Anybody anyone who has idea who is missing today?
Anurag.
Anurag and Viresh are missing. Okay. Now next is today's last concept, that is full disclosure concept. Okay. So we know that what is full disclosure? Disclosing all the, it is not, when we say that full disclosure, it doesn't mean that you need to disclose all the items. No, it is not like that. It says that you need to disclose all the items which are relevant for decision making. याद रखिए, आपको ऐसा इंफॉर्मेशन आपको डिस्क्लोज करना है जो डिसीजन लेने के लिए रेलेवेंट है. Now, as per this concept, all the events and transactions which are relevant shall be disclosed in the books of accounts and financial statements. The events may relate to the current or the subsequent accounting periods. Now, the purpose is the users of the financial statement must be aware of all relevant events and transactions to understand the real position of the business. That's very good. Now, question आता है, sir, why we need to disclose the all relevant information which is of current and which is of future? It is because the one who is willing to invest in your business should know everything about your business. Then only he can take a rational decision. Okay. Next, the term disclosure means that statement describing the event or transaction. What a wonderful explanation it is. The term disclosure means that a statement describing the event or transaction, including the amount involved, should be added to the financial statements as a note therein. That is, disclosure is not same as accounting. Accounting means accounting entries will be passed, whereas disclosure means statement is given, that is journal entry is not passed. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? If there are any problems, that means if there is something which is not clear, then you need to present it in the form of a notes to accounts. नीचे होता है working notes, आपको मालूम है? You are aware of working notes? आपको मालूम है हम एक मशीनरी अकाउंट जब प्रिपेयर करते थे डिप्रिसिएशन में, तो ब्रैकेट में लिखते थे वर्किंग नोट नंबर 1. इसका मतलब क्या होता था? देखिए मैंने अभी यहाँ वर्किंग नोट अमाउंट लिखे हैं, लेकिन आपको क्लैरिटी नहीं मिलेगी कि ये कहाँ है. तो इसके लिए मैं आपको डिटेल बताने के लिए मैं आपको कहाँ लेके जा रहा हूँ? वर्किंग. तो आप अगर आप जाके देखेंगे तो यू विल कम टू नो हाउ वी केम टू दैट अमाउंट. नेक्स्ट इज exception. The convention of materiality and conservatism are the exception to the concept of full disclosure to following reasons. Can somebody read and tell me what exactly it is? Convention of materiality and conservatism are exception to the concept of full disclosure. Now देखिए, materiality versus full disclosure, you check. As per full disclosure, all relevant items and transaction must be disclosed. But as per materiality, accounting principles to be applied only for material events and transaction and not for all. तो यहां दोनों कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट करते हैं. आप दोनों स्टेटमेंट को और एक बार पढ़िए, आपको समझ में आएगा. देन conservatism and full disclosure. As per full disclosure, all relevant item हो गया. Then as per conservatism, only those events and transactions which lead to possible losses must be accounted and disclosed. That's why you remember the sentence, anticipate losses and identify them, but whereas do not anticipate any profit and incur expenses against them. So that's why it is said that full disclosure is in contradictory to तो थोड़ा विवाद है दोनों में, that is materiality and conservatism. Okay, so आज के क्लास में any doubt आपको?
No, sir.
No, sir.
पक्का?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so tomorrow we will meet with the next part, that is substance over legal form. That is very, very important point to understand. So tomorrow I will be using board to make you understand what is substance over form. A very good point to understand. Okay,
Yes,
so now